is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
May the 5th, that means Cinco de Mayo. That means for the Reds, alternative jerseys. Los Rojos jerseys today as the Reds and the Brewers get together in the first game of this 4-game series right here on Fox Sports Ohio. And hi, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to Reds Baseball. Along with Senior Welsh and Senior Day, Jim Couch from the ballpark. Reds and the Brewers here get things going tonight on Cinco de Mayo.
Hola, amigo. ¿Cómo está?
That's a very, very nice look you have going.
Well, no margaritas until after the Wago tonight, but we are going to celebrate. Maybe the Reds taking maybe a 1-game streak and turning it into 2 or 3 here against the Milwaukee Brewers.
Well, they win yesterday in the finale of the series against the Giants, and now without the big day that was turned in by third baseman Chris Eugenio Suarez.
Well, he really was hitting the ball yesterday. I mean, he had a career type of day. Started with a base hit, but he also had a couple of home runs. I mean, a home run, 16 runs batted in at home this year for Eugenio Suarez. You get him out over the plate like that, and somehow or another, I don't know whether it was just dropping him to the number 6 spot in the batting order made a big difference for him or not. He started out second in the order this year. He's batted 4th in the order, but he's swinging the bat right now really the way that they like to have him. A right-handed enforcer in that part of the lineup can mean a lot.
A couple of right-handers on the mound. The game's beginning tonight. Chase Anderson for Milwaukee, and it'll be Alfredo Simon for Cincinnati, both struggling mightily at the start of the season.
Well, no doubt about that. Chase Anderson is not a very hard thrower. He relies on a lot of changeups. In fact, he will throw as many changeups as he does fastballs, but he's got to locate that fastball to get along. He hasn't done that the last few times out. Alfredo Simon, we're looking for Alfredo maybe to get a little bit arm strength back, because remember, he started very late. The Reds signed him late. He didn't have a full spring training at all, and we're trying to get him through the 5th inning. His split finger fastball has become his most popular pitch. In fact, the left-handers, he's throwing probably more of those than he is fastball. So I'd like to see Alfredo use that fastball a little bit more. It's a good one. Pour it in on his right-handers, because they do have some right-handed thump in this lineup.
Speaking of, a couple of big players for Milwaukee tonight that Simon will have to face. One is Ryan Braun, another Chris Carter.
Well, Ryan Braun off to a very typical Ryan Braun year when he is healthy. 374 batter. He's got 5 home runs, a ton of runs batted in. And he's a guy that, you know, he can hit just about any kind of pitch you throw him. You've got to be very careful pitching to the people ahead of him in the lineup, because you don't want guys on base when he comes around. Talk about isolated power. The number 1 guy in the major leagues right now is Chris Carter. Not necessarily the greatest stats to determine your best player, but he has got tons of power. Most of the home runs he's hit, however, have been in Milwaukee. So maybe the Reds can keep him quiet here at Great American Ballpark.
All right, tonight, first game of a 4-game series here at Great American, the Reds and the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll take a break. When we come back, Jim Day talks about bashing the Brewers, and who else but Jay Bruce.
Another cool and cloudy night at the ballpark. Temperatures will be falling through the 50s, and it will be cool by the end of the game. A couple of showers are possible, very isolated in nature, and we should see clearing skies late in the game with temperatures around 52. Hopefully the Big Pasta can get a win for tonight. Let's go Reds.
Thank you very much. I'm Jim Day on the field. You know, when we're in the press box and certain teams or players come through, it seems like there's always a few Reds killers that the media is always talking about in the press box. When we go to Milwaukee, the guy that the Brewers media talks about is Jay Bruce, because he just flat out loves to play against Milwaukee. Last season in particular, .299 average, 8 home runs, 17 runs driven in, and 20 runs scored. Those 20 runs are tied for the most of any player in any season versus the Brewers since 1970. That is a ton of runs in a season series. And he's the focus of our Steel Power Tool Performer. Most home runs by a Red versus an opponent in a season since 1980. Bruce, along with scoring those runs, 8 long balls. Only Greg Vaughn in that 96-win 1999 season versus Chicago had 9 against the Cubbies. So Jay Bruce looking to be a Brewer basher again tonight. It's the first of 4 versus the Brew Crew on this Cinco de Mayo. The Los Rojos will go after the Brewers next.
Taking the mound tonight for the Reds. This will be for him start number 5, start number 3 here at Great American Ballpark. And for the Big Pasta, looking for victory number 1. He comes in without a victory and 3 defeats. Here's the lineup that he will face tonight, put forth by Craig Counsell, the manager of this Milwaukee club. Jonathan VR is their leadoff man, then Alex Presley, then Ryan Braun in the middle, Jonathan Lucroy, then Chris Carter, then Kirk Neuenhuis. Bottom of the lineup, Aaron Hill, Colin Walsh, and Chase Anderson.
Well, so far in the year, Simon has struggled in the department of keeping runs off the board and trying to go deep into ball games, which is the reason the Reds signed him in the first place, to be an innings eater. That may change, though, because the measurement numbers on Simon haven't gone south. His fastball is still there. He's averaging nearly 94 miles an hour on a fastball. He still has good breaking ball, and he throws a lot of splitters. But, you know, the one thing that I've noticed this year on Simon, against left-handed hitters, he's thrown so many split-finger fastballs that he's gotten away from his bread-and-butter pitch a little bit, and that is a fastball rather than a splitter. We'll see if he changes that up at all tonight.
And the switch hitting Jonathan VR steps in to lead things off. First pitch is out of the strike zone for a ball. Game time temperature here at Great American on this Thursday night, 57 degrees, as the Brewers and the Reds get together for the first time this year. 1 ball now and 1 strike to VR. He's their shortstop this year, hitting .264 with a homer and 6 runs batted in. He takes the place of the traded away Gene Segura, who was off to a terrific start this year with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Well, the Brewers like VR a lot. 25 years old, originally signed by the Phillies as a free agent in the Dominican Republic.
And a good start for Alfredo Simon as down goes VR on strikes.
Well, that last pitch, the strikeout pitch, is a splitter, and that's what we were talking about. It's a great pitch to throw after you get ahead, because it looks like a strike coming out of your hand, then it dives out of the strike zone. But early in the count, when hitters aren't quite as aggressive as they are with 2 strikes, you know, a lot of times they look at that pitch and it darts out of the zone and it goes for a ball.
The batter now will be Alex Presley, left-handed hitter, playing right field tonight for Milwaukee. He's not the guy that we would normally see out there. They acquired a young man, Domingo Santana, last year, and he is the guy that primarily has been playing right field, but he's had a little bit of a sore right shoulder, and he's missed 3 of the last 4 games. So Presley pressed into duty here tonight. Seen him with the Pirates before, seen him with the Astros. Started the year in Milwaukee's AAA team. Getting 286 with a home run. Milwaukee comes in here after a 6-game homestand. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Miami Marlins, then won 2 of 3 from the Angels, although they were going for the sweep of the Angels yesterday and had a lead late, only to fall ultimately 7-3 to the LA Angels of Anaheim. One of the hottest hitters in the game right now, Ryan Braun, waits on deck. Brewers come into this game 11 wins, 16 losses. Reds 11 wins, 17 losses. So this Milwaukee club 1/2 game ahead of the Reds for 4th place in the National League Central. This Milwaukee club not as much success since 2010 as the Reds have had, yet they have had a couple of years in which they did get into the postseason. They did go out a number of years ago, sign some free agents, most notably on the pitching side of things, Matt Garza being one. He's on their DL now, but they, like the Reds, have decided to go a different route this year, shed some of the players that had been around a little bit, making a lot of money, bring in some young players, see what they've got within their own system. Ball lined toward the hole, and a nice job diving to his right to come up with that ball is Zach Cozart. Presley is retired.
Well, if you're worried about Zach Cozart's range, this ought to set your mind at ease a little bit. Boy, he went a long way to get that. That is laying out. Nice play.
So 2 out. The batter will be Ryan Braun. Braun comes in right now, 4th in the league in hitting at .374. 5 home runs, 22 runs batted in. Braun comes off a terrific homestand where he went 9 for 20. Look what he's done the last 2 weeks. 8 multi-hit games and a .460 average.
You know, Braun's the kind of player that when he gets hot, he really can carry a ball club. He gets very streaky, and when he's healthy, his down times are not all that extended. But when he is hot, he's seeing the ball real big, and it's evidently right now.
Down the line at third, and that's exactly where Suarez is playing. And over to first in time to retire Braun, and so Alfredo Simon turns in a 1-2-3 first. Sports Ohio is brought to you by Chevy. Check out our award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. Take a look at the Reds lineup for the Los Rojos tonight. Zach Cozart will lead it off. Billy Hamilton in the 2 spot. Joey Votto third. Phillips, Bruce, and Suarez in the middle. And the bottom 3 feature Adam Duvall, Tucker Barnhart, and Alfredo Simon against the 28-year-old right-hander Chase Anderson.
He was with the Arizona Diamondbacks last year. Anderson came over here in a trade. In fact, he was second on that Arizona Diamondback team with the number of innings pitched last year at 157. He was part of that Gene Segura trade. You were talking about that earlier on. And he's probably happy that he's with Milwaukee because he was likely headed to the bullpen in Arizona had he stayed with the Diamondbacks, who drafted him back in 2009 out of University of Oklahoma. Not overpowering. Fastball, changeup are his 2 favorites.
So here's Cozart, and against the shift, he shoots it the other way and into right center field, and a base hit for Zach Cozart.
Over the last few years, the Brewers have become very over-shifting. I mean, I shouldn't say over, but they've embraced the shift as much as anybody, including the Pittsburgh Pirates. In fact, I think they had more shifts last year than did the Pirates, if that's possible. I'm not so sure Zach Cozart is the ideal guy to put everybody on one side of the infield. Not the way he's swinging the bat right now, like a magic wand.
Well, he had a 2-run homer yesterday after sitting out 1 game, after leaving the game on Sunday in Pittsburgh with a little uncomfortable feeling in the back of his right knee. Hamilton shoots it out to center, and that ball off the glove of Neuenhuis. Into second is Billy. Over to third base is Cozart. And the Reds put early pressure on the Brewers, and Chase Anderson second and third with nobody out.
Now 2 pitches, 2 base hits, 1 rope right over the head of the center fielder. Looked like Neuenhuis had a chance to get this ball. In fact, that ball slicing a little bit is what got him.
The ball seemed to come back to him and over his head, and he couldn't quite get it. A 2-base hit for Billy Hamilton, and the Reds have an opportunity to jump in front early with Votto at the plate.
Well, Votto swing at the first pitch. Didn't give him a chance.
How about that 7th double for Billy Hamilton? Ties him for the team lead in that department.
And he has sat out a fair amount of games.
2 balls and no strikes on Novato. Starts the day at 227 with 3 home runs. Driven in 15. Joey has a modest on-base streak going now. He's reached base in 12 consecutive games. And they shift him big time with 3 infielders on the right side. Colin Walsh, their third baseman, is the only player on the left side. Joey gets a look here to 3-0 pitch that is on the outside corner for a strike. Adrian Johnson calling the balls and strikes tonight. Anderson 1 win 3 losses on the year, a 5.55 ERA. Otto walks on 5 pitches. So early pressure by the Reds right here. Take a look at the Brewers defensive setup, brought to you by your Ford dealers. Braun is out in left field. He moves back to left this year after 2 years over in right. Neuenhuis is in center, Presley in right. Third baseman is actually Walsh. Shortstop is VR. The second baseman is Hill. Carter's over at first. Lucroy catches Chase Anderson. The original starting lineup put out by the media, they did have Hill at third and Walsh at second, but when the Brewers took the field, it was Walsh at third and Hill over at second base. Here now is Phillips with the bases loaded. Five career grand slams for Brandon Phillips, and a very good number in terms of an average. Only had 1 AB this year with the bases loaded. Trying to put the Redlegs in front early in this game. Game 1 of a 4-game series against Milwaukee. Leadoff single in the right center by Cozart. Double to center by Hamilton. 5-pitch walk to Votto. Phillips 2 hits, including a home run yesterday, and the Reds win.
Well, if you're Chase Anderson, you're thinking about damage control right here. You give up a ground ball, hopefully, then you get a double play out of it. Or even a sacrifice fly would work. Of course, Brandon would like to get a little greedy here.
Sitting at 8 RBIs in the year for Brandon Phillips. He's gone a long stretch without a run batted in. Billy drove in the run yesterday when he hit the home run in the second. Line drive, left center field. That ball will be caught on the run by Neuenhuis. Heck of a grab by Neuenhuis. Cozart will tag and score. The other runners were on the move and they had to retreat in a hurry. Hamilton back to second. Votto back to first. And boy, oh boy, you got to credit Kirk Neuenhuis right there with saving a couple of runs.
Well, you're right. That ball hit right on the button. Brandon thinking probably when it came off his bat, there's no way he's going to run that one down. In fact, he was kind of giving a little bit extra look. What a third base runner always does in a situation like that, no reason to go halfway. You always go back to the bag. Hamilton went halfway so that when Neuenhuis got it back into the infield, he did not have a chance to advance to third. That's one of the harder hit sacrifice flies you're going to see.
So the Reds take a 1-0 lead, and now here's the aforementioned Brewers killer from a year ago, Jay Bruce, sitting at 244 with 18 runs batted in this year. Career 33 home runs against Milwaukee. The most he has hit against any opponent in his career. Jay 1 for 4 yesterday. 2 hits, 12 at bats overall in the Giants series. Swing, high fly ball, way back into right. This has been a big first inning for Cincinnati as Bruce hits his 5th, and it is 4-0 Reds here in the bottom of the first. One of those no-doubters right there by Jay Bruce.
I don't know whether it's a changeup or a breaking ball, but it came in there at 75 miles an hour. I think that probably qualifies as a curveball, a little roller. And I mean, if Jay Bruce had a chance to put a ball on a tee, he'd have put it right there. And I mean, he knocked that about 3/4 of the way up into the moon deck.
Jay had a terrific year against the Brewers last year. Jim Day chronicled that at the tail end of the pregame. And that's the 34th career home run by Bruce against Milwaukee.
You know, it's funny because against Chase Anderson, Anderson was with the Diamondbacks last year. That's the first hit he's ever had off of Chase Anderson. In 5 previous plate appearances, he struck out 4 times.
Anderson had a lot of success as a Diamondback against the Reds, but his first time out against them as a Brewer, he's given up 4 runs and still only 1 man out. Suarez lays off that. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Good to see him get going yesterday with 3 hits. 3 for 4 with 3 runs batted in, so 16 of his 18 RBIs this year have come here at home. The third hit down there by Walsh. Suarez retired, 2 out.
Even the outs are well hit.
So a single, a double, a walk, a sacrifice fly, and a line drive by Phillips. 3-run homer by Bruce, and a 4-0 Reds lead here in the bottom of the first. Here's Duvall. 243 with 4 home runs. He's driven in 7. Duvall yesterday 2 for 3, had a solo home run in the 6th. Was on base 4 times, 2 hits, a walk, and reached on an error. Bruce leads this team now in runs batted in. Give him 3 on that long ball and 21 on the year. Another hard hit ball to the right of the shortstop, and VR's throw is high, sails into the camera well beyond the Reds dugout. Down to second base will go Duvall.
Well, they love the range of Jonathan VR, but just sometimes that arm, and he's got a plus arm, just gets away from him. Even big Chris Carter, who goes 6 feet 4 inches tall, couldn't reach up to grab this one. So VR commits the miscue.
Boy, this first inning has really been a microcosm of how the starting pitching and things that played out for Milwaukee this year. I mean, they have, if you look at their pitching numbers, the worst ERA in the big leagues at 5.58. Their starting pitching over 6 with an ERA. That's the worst in the big leagues. They've given up 4 in the first, committed an error. Barnhart, the 8th man to bat in the inning. That ball may get down. That ball will get down. That's a run-producing single for Tucker Barnhart, as touching the plate is Adam Duvall. And for the second consecutive game, the Reds have put a 5 spot up in 1 inning. Did it in the second inning yesterday. They've done it in the first inning here this evening.
Don't you just love this swing from Tucker Barnhart? I mean, just nice and relaxed. Keeps his head right down on the ball. Boy, you'll take a 200 of those.
How about 6 times now? 6 times this year the Reds have scored 5 or more runs in an inning. That's best in the National League. So they've done it in the first month of the season, first 4 weeks, 6 times. They did it 8 times all told last year.
You know, as a starting pitcher, if you bat in the first inning, it's always a good sign. Now, on the other hand, if you're facing the starting pitcher in the first inning, it's not been a good inning.
You've had a rough go of it so far, yeah. Simon this year hitless in 3 ABs. Carter, inning over. But big start for the Reds here in the first. The big blow. This one by Jay Bruce, his 34th career home run against Milwaukee. Energy feature for this Thursday, May the 5th, Cinco de Mayo. Red starters the last 4 games, 4 straight quality starts. Most this year, just 1 shy of what they did a year ago. Most recent yesterday, Dan Straley. It started with Tim Adelman in Pittsburgh, went through Finnegan and Lamb. Hopefully 5 in a row if they can get one out of Alfredo Simon tonight. If they do, it'll be his first of the year. Simon had a 1-2-3 first. Against the middle of the Brewers order here in the second. That means Jonathan Lucroy, Chris Carter, Kirk Neuenhuis. Lucroy at 307 with a homer. He's driven in 10. Jammed on that one, and it's going to be cut off, and he's thrown out by Suarez. Nice pitch there by Simon. Take a look at the Reds defensively. Brought to you by your Ford dealers. Behind Alfredo Simon. Left to right, it's Duvall, Hamilton, and Bruce. Infield, Suarez, Cozart, Phillips, Votto, Simon, and Tucker Barnhart. See Phillips and Votto over there at second base and first base. Tonight marks the 998th time that the two of them have started together. Most on the right side of the infield for any tandem in Reds history. And the highest total by any active set of infielders. 998 times, counting tonight, that the two of them have started at first and second base respectively. Here's Chris Carter. Longtime Astro. Carter comes over here, signed as a free agent. They have a Houston feel to this club, and if you wonder why, their new GM David Stearns was a former assistant GM with the Astros. That ball handled by Hamilton. Carter is the second out. And the batter will be Kirk Neuenhuis. That's no mystery that Alfredo Simon has not gotten off to a good start with the Reds this year. His last time out, 3 runs, 6 hits, and 4, but he had just a couple of miserable outings prior to that. Most notably the 8 runs, 10 hits, and 2 2/3 he gave up in St. Louis. Now this is a guy, of course, Chris, who wasn't signed until the middle of March, brought into camp by the Reds.
He came back and pitched in relief after one of his games, and it was on a day that he would normally throw. Now, given the fact that he didn't have spring training and his arm was barking a little bit, they brought him back to pitch in the bullpen, and maybe they didn't know his arm was hurting, but after that it really did begin to hurt. At least they made it public that it did. And you're wondering now that he's getting some innings under his belt that he begins to build some arm strength, and he doesn't go through a typical dead arm period that you go through in spring training during the regular season. Because on the surface, what you're seeing with him is good stuff. I mean, he's got a lot of movement on a fastball that he throws 92 to 94 miles an hour. He's got a good split finger pitch. And I think as the weather warms up, that splitter is going to be a lot easier to throw than when it's 45 degrees outside, like it has been during a number of his starts.
Neuenhuis bounces it to the right side. Votto to Simon, and they get him at first, and it's 6 up, 6 down for the big pasta here tonight. Storyline brought to you by Elk and Elk. All on this right-hander, Chase Anderson. Bruce hits the home run. Anderson, his first 3 starts against the Reds in his career, 20 2/3 innings, 1 earned run. Tonight, 4 earned runs and 5 total. in the first inning. Those first 3 starts, he wore the uniform of the Diamondbacks. Tonight, of course, with Milwaukee. Right back where we started in the first. That Cozart to lead it off.
Right now, there just doesn't seem to be a lot of deception on the part of Chase Anderson. And not only that, once he gave up those base hits on the first 2 pitches he delivered in the bottom of the first inning, he really began to nibble around a little bit. Then he hung that breaking ball to Jay Bruce, and there's another hanger.
Ripped down the left field line by Cozart. That's the 5th hit of the game already for the Reds. Cozart is 2 for 2. Came in hitting .342, but still a few plate appearances shy of being able to qualify for the National League leaders in average. Came in 5 shy going into today, and look at that thing right over the heart of the plate.
And that's a slider or a cutter, I think, is what he throws, and it just didn't move a bit. Now, that's a helpless feeling out there for a pitcher, that you go out there and you're trying to figure out what pitch in my arsenal will work, and he's not found it yet.
Billy a double his first time. Scorched the ball to center field. Nice attempt at making the catch out there by Neuenhuis. Ball came back on him, tipped off his glove, rolled away. Billy ultimately scored on the home run ball by Jay Bruce. With Cozart getting 2 plate appearances already in this game, and we're only in the second, he's 5 shy of qualifying for the National League leaderboard in average. If you just take his .342, which he had going into today, he would be 6th in the league in hitting. He's already 2 for 2. If he goes only 2 for 5, his average would still go up. Be in the top 5 in the league in hitting come tomorrow. Oh, he bunted it in the air, and Lucroy is going to make the catch of that ball.
Well, let's take another look at Billy Hamilton's technique right there. And we made a comment the other night when Tomlinson from the he's beginning to move out of the box. You see his feet moving while he's laying the bunt down. It looks like he's right there. If he just stay in the box, that's fine, but he's already beginning to lean towards first base. And as you try to bunt a baseball that's coming in at 90 miles an hour while your head is moving, it really complicates things. So you want to stay as still as possible, the same way your head stays still when you hit.
Billy and bunting still a work in progress.
Well, yeah, I think it is, but when he gets it down, it'll be a weapon that he can take advantage of. A lot of other players cannot take advantage of.
Votto drew a walk his first time.
And for Billy, it's just a matter of slowing it down a little bit at home plate. I mean, when you run as fast as Billy Hamilton, your internal clock is fast. So you got to somehow slow it down so that you can be patient in the batter's box and then let your speed take over. Easily said, tough to do.
Villar now is cheated in behind Cozart out at second base. He had been, along with Hill and Carter, on the right side. Then you see Villar has gone back over just slightly on the third base side of second. Phillips waiting on deck. To the mound. Grabbed by Anderson. Now VR. And they tag and they put out there by Walsh, the third baseman. Gonna go 1-6-5. And Cozart is the second out of the inning.
Ball comes right back so quickly that Cozart gets kind of hung in between. He wasn't sure if that ball was going to get by the pitcher. Rule of thumb is you wait till it goes by the pitcher, and if it's hit to your left, as a base runner, he just got caught a little bit off second base and was not able to keep that pickle alive long enough for Votto to head into second. Brewers did a nice job of running him back to second base.
So here now is Phillips. He scorched that ball in the first, in which Neuenhuis made a very nice running catch up. Did produce a run, his 9th RBI of the year. Long way to go tonight in this game, but if the Reds can win it, they would leapfrog this Milwaukee club, get out of last place in the division, be a half game ahead of the Brewers. Reds, in fact, if you look at the schedule, will go to Milwaukee for the first time near the end of this month. Play 3 games up there, the 27th, 28th, and 29th of May. Out of a 10-game road trip. Two and two now to Phillips.
Come back inside with another fastball here.
He got a good piece of this one. Headed out toward the Reds bullpen. Home run, Brandon Phillips. His second in 2 days. His third of the year. 3 RBIs now in this game. And the Reds add on. Get 2 more here, and it's now a 7-0 Reds lead.
This was another no-doubter coming right back into the same spot, or attempting to get to the same spot as he did in the previous pitch, and he just left it out over the plate. Brandon is all over it.
Bruce into the shift. He'll be thrown out by Hill to end the inning. The Reds put more on the board. 2-run shot. Brandon Phillips is now driven in 3 in this game.
Greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. 4-game series starting tonight. Top 2 records in the National League doing battle. Dusty Baker's Washington Nationals at Wrigley Field taking on the 20-6 Chicago Cubs. Best start since 1907. And believe it or not, guys, the top 4 teams are doing battle in Chicago tonight. Red Sox versus the White Sox in Chicago. First time in MLB history that the top 4 teams, or the top 2 teams in each league, are playing in the same city on the same night.
Only you could come up with that, Jim Day. And the Cubs coming off that sweep of the Pirates in Pittsburgh. First team in the National League to get 20 victories. In fact, first team in the big leagues to get 20 victories. Here's the first base runner of the game for Milwaukee. Hit up the middle by Aaron Hill. Walsh playing third base. Young man that was acquired from Oakland in the offseason as a Rule 5 draftee. Remember, the Reds had a couple of Rule 5 draftees in spring camp with them, a left-handed pitcher and an outfielder, and neither of them ended up making the team. Both went back to their respective clubs. Walsh is a switch hitter who has not gotten off to a good start here. 107 with 1 RBI after tearing it up at Double-A Midland last year.
Yeah, but if you look at his on-base percentage, that 107 batting average is very deceptive. His on-base percentage is .375. So the only guy in this ballpark who wants to walk more than Walsh is probably Joey Votto, because this guy, you know, when you're batting 100 and you're getting on base 37% of the time, you're not swinging the bat very much, and when you do, you're not swinging it well. So he's doing what he can to help his ball club.
Double play ball. 1 wide throw, but 2 double play. 4-6-3. Good adjustment by Votto on the receiving end of that throw from Cozart.
Perfect timing right there on the double play ball. You got the number 9 hitter, the pitcher, coming up right here to make the third out of the inning. So it could be a nice 3-batter inning for Alfredo Simon, despite giving up a leadoff base hit.
Chase Anderson hitless in 7 ABs with 6 strikeouts this year. Stays in the game, having given up 7 runs so far in 2 innings worth of work.
Well, the one thing that these two teams have in common is the fact that the bullpens have struggled. So I'm sure that Craig Counsell in the dugout for the Brewers is thinking, well, you know, even though we're down 7, we got to get some innings out of this guy. So he's got to man up and go out there for a few more just to save the bullpen.
Wow, hard hit toward the middle. Nice cut by Cozart, and he throws him out at first base. Off the bat, that looked like it was going to be a clean single, but Cozart, flashing the leather, makes the play to retire the side. This Saturday, the first 25,000 fans will receive a Star Wars X-Wing fighter Mr. Redlegs bobblehead thanks to Dynegy Energy Services. Get your tickets to Star Wars Weekend for as low as $12. Call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. Big Star Wars Weekend. Friday, Saturday here at the ballpark, and then Mother's Day on Sunday. Brewers will be in town 7:10 tomorrow, 7:10 Saturday, and a 1:10 game on Sunday afternoon. That's not all for the homestand, though. The Reds will stay home, and they'll play the Pirates for the third series already this year, next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Suarez will lead it off in this 7-0 game in favor of the Reds. Grounded out to the third baseman Walsh his first time. Suarez, then Duvall, then Barnhart. 6, 7, 8 here in the bottom of the third. So Anderson has thrown 45 pitches through 2 innings, giving up 7 runs, 6 hits, walked a batter, hit for himself in the third, back out here in the bottom half. There's Duvall. In the air to right by Suarez. Presley makes the catch. That's 1 out. Now the first time that Anderson has been able to get the leadoff man. That'll bring Duvall to the plate. Reached on an error by the shortstop VR his first time on a high throw over to first base. Ball and a strike now to Adam Duvall. Adam, during the Giants series, I had to make him feel good. 3 out of 7 with a pair of solo home runs against his old team. Walsh throws him out here, and there are 2 out. Remember, if a Reds home run hits the Toyota sign during tonight's game, Matt Caudill from Lakeside Park, Kentucky, will win the beautiful Tundra that's on display here at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win in an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. And as always, there she sits, high atop the Reds bullpen area out in left center field. First pitch swinging Barnhart. Neuenhuis on the run. Neuenhuis got there with a slide. Boy, he's had to run all over the place out there tonight. He makes the catch there, retiring Barnhart, and the Reds go in order in the third. The #1 live streaming sports service delivers everything you have come to expect and more, including a free subscription to @Bat Premium, the #1 live app for baseball. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. VR leads things off here in inning number 4. Flare one out into left field and get himself a base hit. VR struck out to start the game, delivers himself a base hit here in the 4th inning. Second Brewers hit of the game. VR with 8 stolen bases. Now the Brewers are down 7-0, but he does lead the league in that department. Milwaukee's been efficient in steals, 17 out of 23 this year. Here's Alex Presley. Hit the ball hard his first time. Cozart robbed him of a hit, diving to his right. Actually started the season this year in the minor leagues. Came up on the 21st of April. Phillips ranges to his left, and they'll get the lead runner. Nice play by Brandon Phillips, and a good stretch by Cozart to get to that ball just in the nick of time.
Alfredo likes it. You just never know what you're going to see.
It seems a good play so far from the Reds defensively. Here now is Braun. Cozart, Phillips, Votto, second of the night turned by the Reds. Inning ending 6-4-3 double play hit into by Braun. You come out and join our good friend Mo Egger from 700 WLW for the Reds fan cam tomorrow night at the Holy Grail. Your chance to answer Reds trivia, win great prizes, be part of Reds Live. Party starts at 6 p.m. tomorrow night at the Holy Grail. Mo Egger. Middle of the 4th inning now here at Great American Ballpark. All Reds. 7-0 in favor of Cincinnati in this game after a 7-4 win yesterday, sending the Giants back home. Reds have gotten the bat swinging here again tonight. Simon leads things off. Simon, a big guy, 6'6", 265. Of course, had been primarily a relief pitcher until 2 years ago. The Reds put him in the rotation. He won 15 games, was an all-star, had a terrific first half. Not nearly as good as second half. Part of a trade sent him to Detroit that brought Eugenio Suarez over here. And then when Simon was not offered a contract by Detroit, he was sitting at home this spring. Ultimately, in the middle of March, the Reds signed him. He's gone into the rotation. Cozart on deck. Simon rung up. That is the first strikeout of the game for Chase Anderson. That will be Cozart.
He may know that he's down by 7 runs, Chase Anderson, but he's also retired 5 in a row. So you got to look on the bright side, even when you're out there getting beat up a little bit.
We don't know exactly what the depth is of their starters here, maybe down at AAA, and what they may have if they decide to go another route from Anderson. We do know this: he's given up 15 runs in his last 3 starts, and he's given up 7 more tonight. So it's very possible that he could be pitching for his rotation life right now.
Yeah, he's having a rough go of it, no question. But in his first couple of starts, he went this first 11 innings without giving up an earned run. So all of a sudden it's turned south on him. You know, the Brewers are in this very much a similar situation that the Reds are. You know, they're rebuilding. They've got some talent in the minor leagues. They're trying to stockpile that talent. They have some big league talent that they will continue to trade away, likely. There's a lot of talk, of course, about Jonathan Lucroy being one of those that they could get a lot in return.
Here comes Neuenhuis. He had broken back. Comes in and makes the catch for the second out.
And their owner came out in the very beginning of the year, Mark Attanasio, and he said, you know, quote, to move toward accomplishing this lofty goal, which is getting the Brewers back into playoff contention in Caliber Ball Club, I believe we need to take a step back and build more intensively from within. So that sounds very much like what the Reds have said to their fans. They said, you know, you got to practice some patience here. Just because we're losing now, or just because we have some of the guys here that you think, well, where are the young guys? You can't do it all in one swoop.
The Brewers last won the division in 2011. Made it into the championship series where they ultimately lost
to the Cardinals. Last year they finished what, 64-94 or 68-94. They were 32 games out, and that was the first year that Craig Counsell took over the ball club. Counsell took over the team 25 games into the season.
Hamilton rung up, and there's a 1-2-3 frame. Back a second in a row by Chase Anderson.
Rojos jerseys tonight. I'm Jim Day, celebrating Cinco de Mayo. And a couple of Reds players did a very special thing today. Ivan De Jesus Jr. and we just saw Eugenio Suarez visited an elementary school today. They went to the Academy for Multilingual Immersion Studies, talked to the kids, and look at this group photo. Nothing but smiles right there. Tell you what, I never got to experience it, a big league player coming to the school, but you got to think that just made those kids' day and week. So kudos to them for doing it.
Yeah, I agree. I never had that experience either, but those are a couple of good guys right there. De Jesus Jr. and Eugenio Suarez. That one caught the jersey, it looked like, Jonathan Lucroy. And the Milwaukee catcher reaches base to start the fifth.
A fastball that just got away from Alfredo Simon. Interesting, really, because coming into this ball game, Lucroy was the one guy on this Brewer team that has really hit him well. 6 for 10, a couple of home runs, but he made it out the first time up. No reaction at all from Lucroy, other than pain.
Actually 3 innings in a row now that the Brewers have had the leadoff man on. Double play ended the 3rd and the 4th. Now it's Chris Carter who flied out to center his first time.
You know, there's so many different stats in baseball. One is called isolated power, ISO. If you look at the leaderboard in Major League Baseball, this guy is atop of that. And it's not necessarily a way to measure the best offensive player around, but it is a way to measure who's got the most power, raw power. And he's got a ton of it. Bryce Harper would be in 2nd place in that category. They got him from the Houston Astros. 29 years old. Originally a White Sox draftee in the 15th round. Got him out of high school in Las Vegas.
He's had some big home run years the last 3 years with the Astros.
Well, he's got 9 home runs, but 8 of those 9 home runs have been hit in Milwaukee. And not that he needs any help, but Milwaukee is just about the best home run hitting park there is, even including Coors Field. It's a great place to hit. And the Brewers' home run production has gone down steadily, really since the time that Prince Fielder exited from Milwaukee. So they're trying to get some of that home run sizzle back by bringing in a big guy like Carter.
His extra base hit numbers right there, tops in the National League.
So do you like those on pace statistics, you know, where you extrapolate out? If you do, Chris Carter's on pace to hit 56 bombs this year. His high water mark in a career is 36 or 37.
A couple of years ago, yeah. Hit a home run in the ALDS last year against Kansas City.
I'll tell you what he did in his first ever postseason game. The first time, only the second time it was ever done, was walk his first 3 times to the plate.
Yeah.
And the only other player to have done that his very first time is Frank Thomas. And Frank Thomas happens to be the one player that a lot of people compare Chris Carter to. His approach at the plate, his size, he's built the same way. Pretty nice comparison there if you're in the same sentence as Frank Thomas.
You bet. Hall of Famer. Goes out and gets that one and launches it down the left field line, foul. Carter's 29 years old. Doesn't become arbitration eligible until next year. He signed a 1-year contract with Milwaukee. And he takes one right down the heart of the plate, becoming the first out here in the 5th.
Boy, froze him, but look him just like, ugh. And by the time you take that second look, even though it ends up being a hanger, you get a strikeout out of it.
Here's Neuenhuis.
He's probably still thinking, did I really take that pitch?
Neuenhuis been busy out in the outfield in this game. He's made a number of nice catches. Had that ball by Hamilton in the first, tip off his glove. Getting a chance really to play on an everyday basis here with this Milwaukee club. Something never really was able to do while with the Mets. Phillips will get the out at first, so the runner moves up. Like say you kick off your weekend tomorrow with a special Star Wars Fireworks Friday for as low as $12. Plus, don't miss a post-game fireworks show featuring a Star Wars soundtrack. Why not? For tickets, 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. Boy, oh boy, it's going to be Star Wars everywhere starting tomorrow night here at the ballpark. Be fun to see Jim Day dressed up in that Star Wars outfit. He's been talking about it for a few days now. Can't decide which one he's going to put on. He may not recognize him when you see him come in tomorrow night. What are you going to go with, Jimmy?
Luke, I'm your father, Luke.
So you'll have the swinging black cape going tomorrow night. You have that breathing machine too. And you're going to look good tomorrow night. I'm going to get my picture taken with you if that's okay.
Well, a lot of viewers have been saying anything to cover up this face, so go with it.
Simon trying to hang a 5th zero in this game. He threw only 4 pitches in the last inning. Had to work a little harder here in the 5th thus far after hitting Lucroy to start the inning. Carter took a called 3rd strike. Neuenhuis grounded out. Now trying to get the veteran Aaron Hill. Did he get him? He went around there. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Isn't it funny how a change of scenery can help a ball player? The Brewers had really just ran out of patience with Gene Segura, their shortstop. So they cut a deal with the Arizona Diamondbacks. And in exchange, they get Aaron Hill. Aaron Hill's owed $15 million this year. His best years are well behind him. He's 34 years old. But he's going to be a free agent next year, so it's not going to cost him a lot of money in the long run. So after running out of patience with Segura, what does Segura do? He goes over to Arizona, where he's hitting nearly .340. He's leading the league in number of plate appearances or at bats right now. So he's playing every day, having a great start to a year. And it was kind of a pared down job really for the Brewers to try to get him out from underneath, being on that roster.
Remember, they had gotten Segura in the Zach Greinke trade a number of years ago from the Angels. Hard hit into center. Here comes the runner to the plate. Here comes the throw, and it's wide and not in time. And the Brewers are on the board. A base hit in the center by Aaron Hill. He's 2 for 2 tonight. It's now 7-1 Reds.
You know what you really appreciate until you see him do it is how well Jonathan Lucroy runs. He's a catcher. And he came pouring around third base and really had something on it when he came into the plate. I mean, the last thing you want to do as a Brewer is to have a guy thrown out at the plate when you're 7 runs down.
While this was going on at the plate, Hill rounded first when that ball went right on through. He just scampered right on down to second. So he gets the single, the RBI, goes to second on the throw home. And here is Colin Walsh. Walsh is 28 years old. When I first saw that as a Rule 5, I thought, wow, that's a little bit atypical of what you see from Rule 5 players.
2 different kinds of Rule 5 players. One with unlimited ceiling, great athletes who are really raw. And then the other kind of Rule 5 players are those that can kind of step in right away and play in the major leagues. The raw guys who may not be able to compete at this level, you got to hide them somewhere all year long. The other guys, you play a little bit and see what you got. Walsh was originally Cardinals draft pick out of Stanford, 2010.
Down on strikes goes Walsh. Strikeout number 3 for Simon. Brewers get on the board, but the Reds are up 7-1. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio is brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on U.S. News Best Children's Hospitals. Still a decent amount of daylight left here in Cincinnati as we move into the bottom of the 5th. Reds have produced 7 runs on 6 hits. Milwaukee has committed an error. Reds scored 5 in the first, 2 in the second against the right-hander Chase Anderson, who's sitting at 66 pitches as he starts working here in the bottom of the 5th. Otto has scored twice. He will lead things off.
You know, everything considered, Anderson's been pretty efficient tonight. He's been efficient in giving up 7 runs, and he's been efficient in the meantime putting a couple of zeros on the board. Normally when a guy is giving up 7 runs in a ball game in the first 4 innings, you're looking at 100 pitches right now, but he crammed it all into a small period of time.
Well, you made the comment earlier, and it makes sense, and we've seen it on the Red side of things. And their starting staff has been woeful this year. Their bullpen, like the Reds, bullpen has been overworked, and even though he gave up 7 runs in the first, you mentioned, you said Craig Counsell's probably sitting down there saying, hey, I've got to get 5 or 6 innings out of this guy. We cannot run our bullpen out there for 7 innings in this game. And he has settled in, and as you said, then he's retired 7 in a row. Of course, they're still on the bad end of a 7-1 score if you're Milwaukee.
Well, that's true, and nobody wants to be on that end of it. But if you're Chase Anderson, you know, you've got professionalism, you've got the pride of being out there, you've got motivation to continue to pitch. You can talk yourself into it being a 1-0 ball game instead of a 7-1 game. But he really hasn't wanted to throw a whole lot of strikes to Joey Votto.
He's walked in twice, his only 2 walks, and they'll go back to the stretch for the first time since the 2nd inning and get Phillips. Brandon's long ball in the 2nd with a runner aboard. Hit a solo shot yesterday. Gets a 2-run blast here today. So 3 RBIs now in this game for Brandon Phillips. Now puts him at 798 RBIs in his Reds career. Looking to become the 11th player in franchise history to at least get 800 RBIs. He should pass in the relative near future Frank McCormick for 10th. Frank is at 803. Brandon with his 3 tonight, 798. He's also looking to hit the 1,500 mark in games played as a Red. This one becomes an official game, and it is now. 1,499 tonight. Tomorrow night will be, well, actually 1,498 tonight, 99 tomorrow. Saturday would be his 1,500th game as a Red. The 8th player to do so in franchise history.
Really a great shot we had a moment ago. Jonathan Lucroy looking at Brandon Phillips. I mean, looking at him right in the eye. If Brandon would look at him as he gets in there, he's seeing where he's going to stand. Now he's looking at, okay, where are your eyes? Where are your eyes? Make sure that he's not looking for the signs. They're going to finally go back inside and miss it back. And a perfect pitch.
Brandon jackknifed out of the way, trying to sell that pitch on the inside, and Anderson gets the call.
Well, a couple of pitches on the outer part of the plate set this one up, and Brandon was looking in early and then looking out there, and that time Chase Anderson got him.
A walk to Votto, a strikeout looking of Phillips. Here's Jay Bruce. Bruce's home run earlier was a 3-run shot in the first. His 125th at Great American Ballpark. He's now 1 off tying Adam Dunn for the all-time record. All-time home runs here in this ballpark. Adam Dunn, the record holder, at 126. Jay now 125. Off-speed pitch there, and Bruce chased. 2-2.
That's a changeup that we talked about at the very onset of this ball game being Anderson's best option, especially to left-handed hitters. But he did not set it up very well early on. Back to back. It was a curveball that he hung to Jay Bruce, and Bruce just demolished. 3 in a row. That's getting into Mario Soto territory.
There you go. 4 strikeouts for Anderson.
I mean, 3 changeups in a row, that is. You see the grip. He holds it with 3 fingers, and he throws it as hard as he can. It just comes out slower. About 10 miles an hour slower than his fastball. And even though you hang it up around the letters sometimes, you can really fool the hitter with your arm action. That's what Dan Straley did very effectively yesterday.
Straley gave the Reds their 4th consecutive quality start when he allowed 3 runs in 6 1/3. Simon is 1 inning away from having his first quality start of the year and making it 5 in a row. Straley set to start again Monday against the Pirates. Suarez 0 for 2. He's grounded out. He's flied out. Suarez right in the middle of the action in yesterday's game, but quiet so far here tonight. Milwaukee bullpen does have action. Ramon Flores, their lone left-hander, is up and throwing. Anderson is due up first in the 6th. Figures to be finished at the end of this inning. I'm sorry, Chris Capuano. He is their only left-hander. In the air by Suarez. Aaron Hill going to make the play, and he does. And the Reds finished here in the bottom of the 5th.
Here on Fox Sports Ohio. I'm Jim Day. May 5th, milestone in the career of Peter Edward Rose, the hit king. Let's take you back to May 5th, 1978. It was hit number 3,000, on the way, of course, to 4,256 hits. And very fitting, almost like it was meant to be. Tony Perez was a Montreal Expo then. He was playing first base, and he was there to greet his former teammate at first base, hit number 3,000 on this date in Reds history.
That would be a good photo to have right there, wouldn't it, with Rose in his Reds uniform standing next to Perez in that Expos uniform. Pete getting hit number 3,000. Yadiel Rivera pinch hitting here for Chase Anderson. Leaves the game after 5. Gives up 6 hits, 7 runs, 6 of those earned. Walked a couple, struck out 4. Again, Chris Capuano has been throwing in their bullpen. Rivera hitting 189 with an RBI. 0 for 1 as a pinch hitter. A tip foul. That's caught a piece of the bat of Rivera. He had that bat, business end of that bat, bent down, and the ball just tipped it. Off the end of the bat, and that's going to be a base hit for Rivera. Young man made his big league debut in September last year with the Brewers, and he gets himself a pinch hit single here in the 6th. So how about 4 innings in a row now? The Brewers have had the leadoff man on. To the top of the order now, and Jonathan VR. There's one. Got them both. 3rd time tonight. 6-4-3 double play ball. This one hit into by VR. So the Brewers have had a double play ball hit into by Walsh, by Braun, and now by Jonathan VR.
Yeah, and they're all the easy way in DP lane, either a 6-4-3 or a 4-6-3. Middle infielders have been busy. They have come right on schedule for Alfredo Simon.
Simon had not had a ground ball turned into a double play behind him yet this year in his first 4 starts, but he's gotten 3 of them tonight. Alex Presley.
I may have to ask Zach Kozar this, but I think that Alex Presley and Zach Kozar were teammates at the University of Mississippi. Kozar drafted in 07 by the Reds, and Alex Presley was taken by the Pirates in 2006. Yes, some good players come out of Ole Miss over those years. Signed with the Brewers over the winter as a minor league free agent. Maybe not minor league, but it was a free agent after spending some time with the Astros.
Good contact there by Presley. Shoots it out into right center. Bruce nicely cutting it off. Holds his man to a 2-out single.
Just a little two-seam fastball that's waist high, and it's only going to move from side to side when you get it up that high. You know what we really haven't seen? I see the downward plane working for Alfredo Simon on his splitter. I mean, it's going down very well, like off a table. But I don't see him working that downward plane on his fastball quite as much. That arm slot just not back up to where it once was. A little better that time.
Braun has hit the ball on the ground twice. Last time into a double play. Seasons used to be routine for this guy. The last one coming in 2012. Since then, he flirted with it at 298 in 2013, 266 in 14, 285 a year ago, and started today at 374. Fourth in the league in hitting. Top of the league hitting department. Daniel Murphy of the Nationals. Aledmus Diaz of the Cardinals. Martin Prado, the veteran down in Miami.
I mean, when you're hitting 374 and you're in fourth place,
right?
It's a tough league.
I mean, Murphy, who the Mets decided to let walk in free agency, hitting 398 at the start of the day. Zach Kozar, let's see, he's had 3 appearances now tonight. He gets a couple more. Be able to see his name in that list tomorrow. Into the bat to Phillips, and the inning is over. Alfredo Simon, first quality start of the night of the season for him here tonight. Big night offensively for the Reds here tonight, particularly early. They struck for 5 in the first, now lead 7-1 here in the bottom of the 6th inning, and the Brewers will go to their bullpen and bring in their lone lefty, Chris Capuano.
Well, for a guy that didn't break into the major leagues until he was 24 years old, he has had a tremendous career. 12 years in the major leagues, 37 years old right now, Chris Capuano.
Tonight his 11th appearance of the year, the 311th of his career. 4.50 ERA so far this year. Unlike Tony Cingrani on the Red side, he is the lone lefty out of the Brewers bullpen. Walked 11. He struck out 12 in 14 innings worth of work. He was a Brewer years ago, from 04 to 2010.
You know, he originally was drafted and signed by the Arizona Diamondbacks, and then a few years later, this is back in '99, a few years later, he was included in that huge trade that the Diamondbacks made with the Milwaukee Brewers. That was something like 9 players went in that deal. Craig Counsell was in that deal, among others like Junior Spivey, Richie Sexson, Lyle Overbay, Jorge De La Rosa.
Overbay's another guy who came back and played ultimately for the Brewers again a couple of years ago. Richie Sexson, there's a guy who's had some power.
Well, you're not kidding about that. And a couple of years after that deal, Capuano came over to the Brewers and had a tremendous year. He won 18 games. He lost 12. He was an all-star in 2006. That 18-12 year was his only winning record as a major leaguer. He broke 500 a couple of times, but he has hung on, played for a number of different teams, the Mets, the Dodgers, Red Sox, a couple of years with the Yankees. Keeps himself in tremendous shape.
Gets Duvall as the first batter he faces here in the bottom of the 6th.
There's got to be some deception there, and I'm wondering if the deception that you see from Capuano is similar to other pitchers, that when they throw, before they throw, the ball gets up behind their head. They really hide the ball well. And some other pitchers that aren't as deceptive kind of show the ball the entire way. You almost have to slow it down to see it. We did, as we just showed that, the strikeout of Duvall. But there's a reason, there's got to be a reason why a guy who's throwing 88 miles an hour has been able to last 13 years in the major leagues.
And most of that time he has been a starter. Working out of the bullpen now.
225 starts. You just watch his hand as it breaks out of his glove and then goes right behind his head right there. And the hitter doesn't see that at all. And all of a sudden it comes out of that release point. Tucker gets to turn around about right-handed.
Got him on strike, so back-to-back strikeouts for Capuano.
That's kind of what we're talking about. You lose for a second. I don't know whether it's a changeup or a slider, but Tucker could not hold back. That's 4 of the last 5 hitters who have gone down for the red zone strikeouts.
Yeah, really sensed the second on the home run ball by Phillips. Reds haven't added much from an offensive standpoint. No hits and 1 base runner. A walk to Votto did all their offensive damage in the first and second. Lead this game 7-1.
You know, it seems like that happens a lot. You know, where you have an outburst of offense early on, and then it just kind of, the energy just goes away. You just kind of cruise the rest of the game. Not a lot more done.
Simon now in the hole, 2 strikes.
I mean, how do you explain that they were hitting the tar out of Chase Anderson the first couple of innings, and then he puts 3 innings of zeros on the board.
Simon falls victim to the strikeout as well, so 3 of them for Capuano in the 6th.
Telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
And make sure you celebrate Mother's Day here at Great American Ballpark and make a memory that will last forever. Take advantage of a special Mother's Day ticket package the Reds are offering. Capture the moment with Mom on the field. Plus, the first 10,000 moms will receive a keepsake Reds frame thanks to Cons. For tickets, 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. That's this coming Sunday, May the 8th, Mother's Day. 7th inning now, and back to the mound goes Alfredo Simon. Reds won yesterday 7-4 over the Giants, leading tonight 7-1. Haven't won back-to-back games since they defeated Colorado in the 2nd and 3rd games of that series, the 19th and 20th of April. The longest winning streak is 3, those first 3 games of the year over Philadelphia. Lucroy hit by a pitch his last time. That was in the 5th. Leads off here in the 7th. Puts a charge into this ball into left center, and it'll bounce off the wall. Lucroy has himself a 2-base hit to start inning number 7.
Well, every time you see Jonathan Lucroy come to the plate, you wonder, is this the year that the Brewers are going to trade Lucroy to see what they can get something in return? The problem is there are so few catchers that can deliver what Lucroy can do. He's 30 years old. He hits for an average. He runs a great game behind the plate. Just solid ball player through and through.
Here now is Chris Carter. It's the first extra base hit of this game tonight for Milwaukee. Just remembering back a couple of years ago, Lucroy led the big leagues in doubles with 53 of them. This year, that double number 6. Carter is flied out, took a call, third strike.
For Chris Carter, it's been a long wait. 8 years in the minor leagues, originally a White Sox draftee, high school kid out of Las Vegas. And I mean, he was in A ball and in rookie ball for a long time. Then he got over to Oakland, moved up through their organization fairly quickly, and that's where he made his major league debut when he was 24. So he signed at 18, finally made it to the bigs at 24, 23.
Suarez looks the runner back and throws Carter out.
But it wasn't one of these deals for Carter where once he got to the major leagues, he stayed there. He still went back and forth. But what's so enticing about him is his power. He'll strike out a lot, but he can hit him a long way.
The Brewers had Adam Lind over there last year, and Lind did a nice job for them in terms of average, in terms of homers and RBIs. But he was making a little bit too much money for what they wanted to pay out. So they trade him away. They get Carter. Really, they come out looking pretty good on that deal. Neuenhuis bats. He's 0 for 2. He's grounded out twice.
The Brewers had just about the most active offseason of any team out there. I mean, the new gunslinger of a general manager, David Stearns. In fact, they call him Slinging Stearns.
Do they? I did not know that.
38 transactions over 5 months during the winter. And he brought 45 players into the organization. 45. 20 pitchers and 25 position players that we're going to come into spring training.
I guess that's called making your mark, right?
And if you just only want to isolate just the trades, they made 9 trades and added 16 players in those 9 trades. 9.
Similar to what I guess the Padres had done the year before that. They got a new GM.
They had Doug Melvin in the driver's seat there for a long time as general manager. But they made a move and got David Stearns in. Brought in assistant GM Matt Arnold. He was from the Rays. They weren't afraid to wheel and deal.
Neuenhuis rung up. Strikeout number 5 for Simon. Reds fans, if you can't watch the game on TV, you can now stream Reds games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store and download the free Fox Sports Go app. Log in and stream the Reds wherever you go. Two men out. Here's Aaron Hill. 4, by the way. 4 strikeouts now for Alfredo Simon. Looking to get through 7. Simon gets another out here and gets through 7. He will equal the outing that Robert Stevenson turned in back on the 19th of April against Colorado when he went 7. Allowed 1 run, 3 hits in that game. Ironically enough, he pitched in that game because Simon had been scratched. That's the longest outing by a Reds pitcher this year. Over the mound. Phillips will make the play. And that's 7 innings worth of work for the big right-hander. Alfredo Simon equals the longest start by a Reds pitcher this year. MLB on FS1 is back with 2 monster games featuring some of baseball's best players. It all starts as the Rangers take on the Tigers in a game you can only see on FS1. Then the Nationals head to Wrigley to take on the Cubs. Action begins at 12:30 Eastern on FS1 or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Alfredo Simon, 7 innings worth of work. 1 run, 6 hits. No comparison in terms of what he has done in this start versus what he has done in his other starts. Cozart leads it off, strokes this ball solidly to center, but there's Neuenhuis and all over the place tonight out in center field for the Brewers, and he runs that one down.
Felt like a track meet for him out there.
Wow.
Now Alfredo using some pretty high-tech instrument right there to get that dirt out of there. I mean, nothing beats a good old-fashioned butter knife.
Some things don't change, do they?
I wonder. I wasn't the one that had the Frisch's logo on it, was it?
I believe it was.
It's really amazing, though. Of all the technology that's out there, I mean, you're carrying a computer around in your pocket, but no one's invented a better instrument to remove dirt from your cleats than a butter knife that has some athletic tape that run at one end.
One of those things that came out early and hung around.
Got the market share and never gave it up.
That's right. Sometimes you see people use the wooden tongue depressors, but they snap.
Yeah, they break. That's.
That could have been a letter opener with tape around the end. Billy Hamilton tonight, 1 out of 3. Took a called third strike his last time and disagreed with that call of Adrian Johnson.
He, like Tucker, gets a turn around against Capuano and bat right-handed, but unlike Tucker, he really likes it right-handed.
Yeah, this is his natural side. Tucker's natural side is his left side. There's that split. There's still talk. I mean, not necessarily amongst the people down in the dugout, maybe, but amongst fans, amongst media, that maybe Billy should hit from the right side only.
Bad idea.
You want to expound on that?
Well, I just think that if you have, first of all, you have the speed that Billy Hamilton has, getting to the left side of the batter's box gives you an extra step towards first base. I think that's one of the things. And the other thing is that ever since he became a switch hitter, he's never had a negotiated breaking ball moving away from him. Like chasing a right-handed slider going down and away.
Now, there are those who would make the argument that when he bats from the left side, we've seen him try to bunt from the left side, and you talked about him moving a lot, and that he doesn't make nearly as good a contact from the left side, and he is fast enough that that little half step won't affect him. How would you counter that?
How many times are you out of first base by half a step?
Most guys, but how about Billy? Just playing the devil's advocate.
Oh, I know. And doing a good job, like you normally do. Well, you know, it takes me back to a story that Chipper Jones once told me, that when he was down in the minor leagues, he was struggling so mightily left-handed. He was a natural right-handed hitter, and he told the manager, I'm not hitting left-handed anymore. And he went about a week or so, and then the reports from the minor league went to Atlanta, and they found out that their #1 prospect stopped switch hitting. And the farm director came down and fired the manager and said, you will bat both ways. And as it turned out, Chipper Jones had a pretty good career after that.
The costly decision right there by that manager. Make sure you follow each and every Reds game here on Fox Sports Ohio, and make sure you stick around then afterwards for Reds Live post game. It's all brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. Recap of the game, interviews done on the field if they win, and certainly Jeff Pecora will head down to the clubhouse and get reaction down there later on. That's Reds Live post game following tonight's action.
All of a sudden, the Reds are swinging and missing a lot. Of the last 10 outs, 7 of them have been strikeouts.
Votto tonight has not struck out. He's walked twice, reached on a fielder's choice, scored twice. Nothing from a Reds offensive standpoint since the second, but they led 7-0 after 2, lead 7-1 now here in the bottom of the 7th. Joey in the hole, 1-2. This will be it for Capuano, who's spot due up second in the 8th inning. He's turned in good work, fanned the side in the 6th. Set down all 5 that he has faced thus far. Reds been quiet in terms of the Brewers. They will have action momentarily. Votto's 2 walks mean he's now reached base in 13 straight games. Really, when you look at the leaderboard here just over a month into the season and not see Joey Votto's name amongst league leaders in walks. He's walked twice tonight, and on the year now Votto has walked 16 times. Now 17 as he's walked 3 times tonight, but that would still keep him out of the top 10 in the league in walks. The department that right now is headed up by Paul Goldschmidt of Arizona, going into today with 28. So all 3 walks that the Brewers have issued tonight have gone to Votto. He had his on-base percentage going into today was .330. Lower certainly than we normally see it from him. Still a very respectable OBA. Milwaukee starter Chase Anderson, 5 innings, 7 runs allowed. Alfredo Simon, starter of the Reds, still in this thing after 7. He gets an out in the 8th inning, and he will be the first pitcher to go over 7 in a game this year for Cincinnati. Reds actually have more runs than hits in this game. They've amassed 6 hits, but nothing from a hit standpoint since the 2nd. Phillips shoots this ball hard into right center field, and that's going to be off the wall. Votto is held at 3rd. Stand-up 2-base hit for Brandon Phillips. His 6th double of the year.
Well, Brandon has hit the ball hard every time he's put the ball in contact or put the ball in play tonight. This time going the other way. I mean, this ball bangs hard off the right center field wall. He was robbed of an extra base hit in the 1st inning by Neuenhuis, the center fielder who just got that ball back into the infield. Ended up getting a sacrifice fly out of it.
Yeah, what was that, about 1.5 feet or so below the yellow line? He just missed hitting the home run that would have gotten him to, in terms of RBIs, 800 in his Reds career. Bruce has a chance here to tie Adam Dunn for the most home runs ever hit at GABP. It is 125th earlier. Adam Dunn at 126.
Well, Bruce has hit 2 home runs off of Capuano in his career.
Two-out walk to Votto and a double by Phillips. Bruce against Capuano now. Game is at 7:10, and home folks will get to see Tim Adelman make his Great American Ballpark debut. How about the job he did on Sunday in Pittsburgh?
Well, he came out throwing strikes, and it really showed. Pitched a great ball game. It seemed like he was a 10-year veteran. He's not a guy making his major league debut.
Sometimes you watch some of these young guys or guys that aren't so young but are making their big league debut. They look to be pitching very defensively. Boy, Adelman did not appear to do that at all. It's an extra inning game on Sunday in Pittsburgh, which the Reds won 6-5 thanks to two big late hits by Scott Schebler. Adelman allowed 2 runs, 3 hits in 6 innings plus a batter. Left when Starling Marte had an infield hit in the 7th against him. Walked 2, struck out 6. He'll be on the mound here tomorrow night for the Reds against right-hander Willie Peralta. Bruce, a strikeout victim. 5 of them on the night for Capuano out of the bullpen. The Reds did it all offensively in the first inning. How about Jay Bruce? This 3-run blast made it 4-0 Reds in the first. For Jay, that was home run number 5 on the year. Reds had another 2-run homer. That came in the next inning. This one off the bat of Brandon Phillips. His second home run in 2 days. That's his 3rd of the year. And after 2, the Reds were up 7-0. And Alfredo Simon, clearly his best start of the year. He's worked 7 so far. He set down the first 6. He faced the minimum thanks to double play balls through 4. He works here in the 8th inning tonight.
Well, the key really for Simon is that he's throwing strikes and quality strikes. He has not walked a batter tonight. He is the first Red starter since Raisel Iglesias on opening day to have a start and not walk a batter.
That's significant because the Reds are, what, tops in the big leagues in walks by their pitchers.
And this is really why they signed Alfredo Simon. I mean, you lead by example, but also to come in and eat up some innings. Last thing you want is your team to spot you 7 runs, and then you have your starter go out there and struggle through the first 5 innings, give up 4 or 5 runs, and have to dig into the bullpen once again. This could not have come at a better time for Brian Price and the Reds in a stretch where there's no off day coming up. That's a nasty pitch.
It's also strike 3, and that now means he's worked 7 1/3. That's the longest outing by a Reds pitcher this year.
Boy, good little comeback on that pitch right there. Well, he had, coming in tonight's game, the highest average of most pitches in an inning. Of course, that was all blown out of proportion early sample size, but tonight he's only right around the 13 pitches per inning. Rounding into shape.
the pitch again is Simon on Tuesday against the Pirates. That'll be his next time out. This is Ramon Flores batting now for Capuano. Phillips will throw him out for the second out of the inning. Well, the Reds came into tonight one of only 5 teams to not have a starting pitcher go into the 8th inning. The Orioles did it earlier tonight. The Reds are doing it now, chalking some of those off their list. Two out for VR. He struck out, had a hit, bounced into one of 3 double plays, and into by Milwaukee tonight. Interesting that the Brewers went out and acquired VR. Their top prospect in the minor leagues is Orlando Arcia, a 21-year-old shortstop who is hitting over 300 at AAA Colorado Springs this season. We don't know if Arcia or possibly VR can move over and play second base. Or possibly, like the Reds have done with Suarez, move over to play third base. They have a young man who appears to be a very highly talented player on the verge of the big leagues in Arcia. Simon now at 106 pitches in this game. And the Reds do have action in their bullpen in the person of Blake Wood. That is ball 4. And there's your first walk of the night by Simon. Make sure you're ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game. Get all the info you need for Reds baseball on Reds Live pregame here on Fox Sports Ohio, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Another edition tomorrow night beginning at 6:30. Tim Adelman will go for the Reds. Tyler Cravey has been put in the starting rotation for Milwaukee and will go tomorrow night. Willie Peralta away from the team. And Tyler Cravey will get the start tomorrow night for the Brewers. Here's Alex Presley. One walk, 5 strikeouts tonight for Simon. Trying to get through the 8th. He had 2 complete games last year for the Tigers. Did not have a complete game 2 years ago as a member of the Reds. Twice 2 years ago when 8. Once against Tampa Bay. It was early in the year here. And again here against the Dodgers in June. And he's ahead now at Presley 1-2. In the air to right. Bruce going back. And that ball leaves the park. 2-run homer. Alex Presley, just his 2nd home run of the year. Now the Brewers make it a 7-3 game.
Well, I think that Alfredo Simon hit the wall and Alex Presley went over the wall. After that conversation out and about with Mark Riggins, you know, it was probably one of those conversations that said, let's just get this one more hitter. And he grooves one to Presley, and Presley goes about 4 rows deep.
Ryan Price will come out. He'll go to the umpire at home plate. Adrian Johnson first. That means a double switch by the Reds. They'll bring in a new pitcher. Blake Wood has been throwing in the Cincinnati bullpen. Brian gets the necessary paperwork completed with Adrian Johnson. Now makes his way to the mound. 7 2/3 innings for Alfredo Simon, the longest outing by a Red starter this year. Brian will make the call to the bullpen. Simon leaves. Nice job done. This is our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen as Blake Wood enters. This weekend when the Reds host Star Wars Weekend here at Great American Ballpark this Saturday, the first 25,000 fans will receive a Star Wars X-Wing fighter Mr. Redlegs bobblehead thanks to Dynegy Energy Services. Get your tickets to Star Wars Weekend for as low as $12 by simply calling 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. It all starts tomorrow night, continues into Saturday. Nice job by Alfredo Simon. 7 2/3. Ends up giving up 3 runs on 7 hits. Leaves on a bummer with that Alex Presley home run and turns it over now to Blake Wood.
Game number 14 for Blake Wood. He's pitched 13 innings. He struck out 8 and walked 9. He's kept the ball in the yard, though, in each one of his ball games.
Gets ahead of Braun. No balls and 2 strikes. Double switch made by the Reds. Tyler Holt now in right. Jay Bruce out of the game. Off the leg of Wood toward Votto, and they're not going to get it. That'll be a base hit for Ryan Braun.
Sounded like it came off his shoe.
You're exactly right.
That move needs a little work. You know, that's what happens when you watch Brandon Phillips tapes, highlight reels, and you say, I can do that. And then you try, and Brandon's thinking the same thing. Hey, leave it to that dude.
Don't copy. to do the John Lester move and get the ball in the glove. I think 2 or 3 times this year he's thrown the whole thing over to Anthony Rizzo at first. So after the first 2 were retired here in the top of the 8th. Walk to VR. 2-run homer by Presley spelled the end of Simon. Infield single by Braun. And he's now hitting 5 games in a row. Now Lucroy, with a double as last time, is up there against Blake Wood. Double switch would seem to indicate that Brian Price is going to leave Blake Wood out there. Hopefully get through this 8th inning and be pitch efficient enough to go back out in the 9th inning.
Well, he's got to throw the ball over the plate and retire some pretty good hitters in the process. Corby looking for something to drive into a gap here.
Shoots it hard to right, and Holt just into the game is right there to haul it in. And the inning comes to an end. On Fox Sports Ohio has been brought to you by Kroger. Stop by your neighborhood Kroger to save big store-wide. Great food, low prices at Kroger. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Pitcher on for Milwaukee. This is David Goforth. Becomes the 3rd pitcher of the night. Suarez leads it off, bottom of the 8th. Fourth game of the year for David Goforth. Big league debut last year, just recalled from AAA Colorado Springs on Friday. Been up here a week. Here's another one out of the University of Mississippi. Talking about them earlier. Suarez, Duvall, and Barnhart against Goforth in the bottom of the 8th. have bodies walking around, but no one throwing in the bullpen, which would seem to indicate that Blake Wood will head back out there in the top of the ninth. Mac Jenkins walking around out there, the bullpen coach, but I don't think he's going to come in. Suarez 0 for 3 tonight. Second on this team in RBIs with 18. Behind team leader Jay Bruce. 3 tonight, 21 on the year. It's that one hard down the left field line. Suarez going to get himself an extra base hit here as Braun will get it back in. Suarez comes up with only his second double of the year.
Suarez had a couple of really wild swings in this at bat, but he gets a pitch on the inner part of the plate right there. He really likes the ball down. You can see he's kind of got an upright stance and just ready to drop that bat head.
Suarez in June that came up a year ago when Cozart blew that right knee out at first base against Philadelphia. He ended up with 19 doubles for the Reds last year. He gets his second of the season on that ball. Here now is Duvall. A charge into this one into center. Neuenhuis not going to get it. Third home run of the homestand for Adam Duvall. Is his 5th of the year. Reds give up a pair in the top of the 8th and get them back here in the bottom of the inning on that blast by Duvall. What a sound that had.
I'll tell you, this kid is some kind of strong. I mean, really strong. The kind of sound that he made when he hit that baseball right there, that's the sound that keeps pitchers awake at night.
That way you don't get much sleep?
Yeah, I'm still rolling over.
3 home runs now tonight by the Reds.
Couldn't be a nicer kid, too.
Young man out of Louisville, played for the Cardinals down there. Went with them to the College World Series that first time they went many years ago. Homered in 3 straight games. I mentioned he had the home run yesterday. A solo shot, one of 4 the Reds hit, so they've hit 7 now in the last 2 games. Duvall also had the solo home run in the 5th inning against Jeff Samardzija on Tuesday, so he's homered in 3 straight. First time in his career.
You know, it's really nice to have some thump at the bottom of the lineup. I mean, maybe Adam Duvall won't always be in the bottom of the lineup. You don't know that, but I mean, it's nice to know that you get down to the bottom and you've got some guys that can pick on a mistake pitch, because pitchers tend to just relax a little bit when you get down to the 6, 7, 8 guys, because they're so concentrating on trying to get Votto and Phillips and Bruce out. Sometimes they let up a little bit.
Holt going to be thrown out by the pitcher. Go forth. Tyler batting for the first time tonight. So after the double and the home run, 2 out. Back to the top of the order, and Zach Cozart. This will be talked about it earlier. His 5th plate appearance of the night. Cozart needed 5 plate appearances in tonight's game to qualify for the National League leaderboard in batting average. He came into the game hitting .342. He's 2 for 4 now. Either way, this will go down as a plate appearance. His average right now is .349. That would put him in the top 5 in the National League going into action tomorrow night. Talking about our guy Cozart, who came into this year, or right now actually, is a .248 career hitter, and that's up from where it was at the start of the season due to what he's done this year. He's really been zoned in here in the first 4 weeks. Made his big league debut back in 2011 against Milwaukee. Here comes Braun, and the inning is over. But 2 in the inning on another home run by Adam Duvall, his 3rd in 3 days. Reds lead this one now 9-3. Zach Cozart, what he has done offensively, and he'll be in the top 5 in the league in hitting going into tomorrow. But how about the defense this guy gives you? Just tonight, he's made some terrific plays.
Well, there's a lot of ways to show you, but we're going to show you using Fox Vision. And I mean going 24 feet to his right to snag that line drive. That was in the 1st inning. And then, hey, can you go to your left, Zach? I think so. 29 feet up behind the bag at first base to make a play, or behind second to make a play at first. And rob another base hit.
Well, he's always been a terrific defender. We call him a Gold Glove shortstop. He hasn't won a Gold Glove, but he is.
We know that there are different components to being a good defender in the infield. And one is range, the other is consistency of the balls that you can get to. And he's a terrific blend of both.
And let's not forget his arm. J.J. Hoover takes over here in the 9th inning. So despite the double switch, Wood does not go back out in the 9th. J.J. his 12th appearance of the year. Trying to close the door on this one. Into center. Home run.
Well, we told you about Chris Carter's power. And I know that he's hit most of his home runs at Milwaukee. But he just went out the big man's part of the ballpark.
Second home run in 2 innings by Milwaukee. And it's now 9-4.
The ball came back right into the zone. The hot zone.
10th of the year by Carter. That means that ignominious streak of the Reds bullpen continues. 23 straight games in which they have been scored upon. John Moscott has gotten up, starting to throw. We just saw a shot in the Milwaukee dugout of Pat Murphy. He was the manager of the Padres last year after Bud Black got let go. Managed that team the rest of the year. He's the college coach of Craig Counsell. Counsell brought him in here to Milwaukee as his bench coach. Off the wall on that ball by Neuenhuis. He gets himself a double. Hoover greeted with a homer and a double here in the 9th. And now Aaron Hill.
You've got a 5-run lead. Bottom of the order coming up. I think they're going to give JJ a little bit of a leash. They really want to do the best they can to try to get him back on track. And the only way to do that is to let him pitch.
Boy, it's been a rough one for JJ Hoover. 6 home run balls now given up. 9 2/3 innings this year. Had it not been for Duvall's home run, this would be getting a little uncomfortable, wouldn't it?
Well, it would, but that home run made a big difference there. And I'll tell you that JJ Hoover's a kind of teammate that everybody on that ball club is just really trying to support him right now. There are some guys that you play with that, you know, they run through a rough time like this, and you know, you're not going to get anybody to even give you any sympathy. But Hoover's a completely different guy.
Sure is.
I mean, he's as good a teammate as you can possibly find. Got to find more of the corners. Simple as that.
Aaron Hill has a pair of hits and a run batted in tonight. Goes from 1-2 now to 3-2.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was awfully close to being strike 3.
Just under the glove of Hoover, but Phillips will make the play, and that's the first out here in the 9th inning. Now Colin Walsh comes up there. Good story about Walsh. Late in spring training, the Reds were playing over at Maryvale. Walsh had been told the night before that he had made the team as a Rule 5 draftee from Oakland. Next day, the Reds are playing them. He makes 3 errors at second base.
Probably never made 3 errors in his life.
Probably right.
In one ball game.
Probably thinking, thank goodness they told me last night.
Be a lot of explanations for that.
Yeah.
Walsh is a smart kid, though. He's got a pretty good fallback plan if a baseball thing doesn't work out. He graduated from Stanford in a little over 3 years with a degree that was a combination of management, science, and engineering.
Run will come home. Walsh is out.
And then he went back to get his master's degree.
I'd say that's a pretty good fallback plan.
In civil engineering, where he specializes in green energy. It was Brandon Phillips doing the green energy on that one, fielding that ground ball.
Green energy. Well, good luck to him with that. I hope it all works out. Domingo Santana, who you figure we'll see in right field starting later in this series, pinch hitting here for David Goforth. He's been their primary everyday right fielder, hitting .247 with 3 home runs and 11 runs batted in. There's one down the right field line, and it's just foul. Hoover not away now from putting the finishing touches on this one. A 9-5 Reds lead. Trying to get Domingo Santana. And over here from Houston in the Carlos Gomez deal at the end of July last year. Three and two. That's strike 3 called, and the Reds have won their 2nd in a row, and they defeat the Milwaukee Brewers tonight by the final score of 9-5, and in doing so jump ahead of the Brewers in the standings in the National League's Central Division. Hoover closes it out. Alfredo Simon gets his first win of the year. Reds use home run balls from Bruce and Phillips and Duvall, and they win it 9-5 here tonight at Great American Ballpark. We'll be back with more in a moment.